philosophical question for you guys.
Sure.
How do you guys separate the artist from the art?
That's the trick. I mean, that's the trick.
It's a
It's
good
hard.
question.
I think it depends sometimes on what the circumstance is, how personal it is to you, how if it's a controversy, if it's a character trait, if it's certain things, that's like how much are you affected by it? You have the right any which way to react however you feel you want to. For example, Roxy's been very outspoken about Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah, my answer would be I don't.
You don't,
I
for
don't.
that particular.
Yeah, and for some of them I do. Like you
James
said,
Gunn.
I weigh them out with my own conscience. Like if I think I do decide what to me is still acceptable to watch somebody's work and what isn't. Sometimes that line gets blurred because I'm a critic, and for my job, I have to go see things sometimes. So that's when what was Hacksaw Ridge?
Right.
You know, went and saw that. Great movie. Excellent movie. I don't let it dictate how I feel about the art if I do have to see it as a critic, because
Right.
that's
You're
not
going to
fair.
review the movie, you're not
Right.
reviewing the person who made the
But
movie.
I do try really hard not to support people financially who deserve not to be supported
Riley?
financially.
I tend to go into all the people that worked on these projects, not just the director, who, if that's the case, or actor, and knowing that some people worked their ass off to get to that position, and
Right.
then one thing can happen. But to take everything that you said, it depends on the person, it depends on the project. But I'm a big believer in some people. They write, they produce, they act, they do all these things, and dreams come true. They get on these projects, and then something can happen. I don't want to take away from them, but I understand when people are upset about a director, and it comes down to your point of view.
John?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's always been subjective, and no one's infallible. And I bet people who were mad about one side, if you went back and saw their fandom about other, go, hey, well, what about this person? Well, that's different. So I think it's all just subjective to your own personal point of view and your approach to it. What I think we need to stop doing, though, is on the more borderline cases, we need to stop going after each other and vilifying each other on social media about that kind of stuff. I think that's where it becomes dangerous. Something like Cosby, absolutely banished, should never come back. Although a lot of people in the African American community grew up with that man showing them that they could achieve things and could become successful.
But are you saying
in
the
the
Cosby
80s.
Show, or
No, I'm saying Bill Cosby on the Cosby Show. The Cosby Show itself, which is Bill Cosby's creation, he showed
They
a lot of
switched
people
the
at the
narrative
time.
back to that show. What that show was so important about
Yeah.
is that it showed this different side of a black family,
Right.
And it was like,
That it
no,
could
no,
be
no,
successful.
look, yeah, right. Look, no, this is a doctor. This is
Right.
This is just, and that wasn't done at the
Yeah.
time. So it was
People
just.
forget.
And they talked about this recently, and they didn't even bring up the whole thing with Bill Cosby, right? But it's in your head when you're watching it now. It's like it doesn't take away from the fact that how important that show was to other
Yeah.
people. But the problem is, now when you start thinking about it, it's like, what the fuck was he doing when he wasn't shooting those scenes?
he's horrific
You
for
know
doing
what I
that.
mean?
I
Yeah.
do think, though, I am more aware. I try to be more aware of what I'm currently sending a message of, because right now, if I go back and I watch an episode of The Cosby Show, which I personally can't do because of how it makes me feel,
Right.
but if I did, that isn't sending a message to Hollywood saying you should hire this person.
Right.
But if Bryan Singer directs a movie and we all go and see it and it makes a bajillion dollars, that's sending a message to Hollywood saying we will go see Bryan Singer movies. So for me, I personally, and again, it's just this is me. I try and for the future of Hollywood, try not to go support financially the movies that I'm not trying to send the message about the producer, director, the people who are going to be making the money.
Yes, and the difference I'm going to throw is the Bohemian Rhapsody part of it, because they got rid of him halfway through.
It's not about Bohemian Rhapsody. I was more
I
talking
know what
about
you're
Red
saying.
Sonja when he was
and
attached
that's,
to
and I
that.
think that's ultimately why he was let
which
go,
I
because
hated.
of points like that. You hated that what?
I hated that he was attached to
That
it.
he
I
was
kept
attached
saying
to it.
it's
Right.
terrible to put
Well,
it.
by the time they attached him to it, it was already
Exactly.
he had already been out.
But
Yeah.
but the thing that once he left Bohemian Rhapsody, and the same director that did
Dexter Fletcher.
Dexter Fletcher.
did he also did
Rocket
the Elton
Man.
John movie.
Yeah.
He
No,
took
I
over.
agree. I
It's
agree.
because for that's like, because there were a lot of people who were saying, I know you weren't saying this, but there were a lot of people saying, I'm not going to support it because Bryan Singer was involved, and they didn't really know all the stuff that was going on, and they let him go. There was rumors, so that's another conversation. But the crew that worked on it, Rami Malek, everyone too. Like that movie that was shot. I mean, I know some people feel differently about that movie, but I thought that was a movie that should have been supported.
Take out the name Bryan Singer. That was the
Right.
first name that came to my mind. But like, if all the money in the world had come out and they kept Kevin Spacey in it, and we all went and saw it anyway,
Right.
that sends a message that like we're fine with Kevin Spacey. Keep him in Hollywood at that time. So I just think when I'm trying to we all get to send a little message to Hollywood, right? With our money.
Yeah.
That's how you send
No,
your
I
little
understand what you're
message.
saying. It makes sense. Thank you for the question.